Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. The guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, consumer products, business news, and beauty and wellness. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Head to onepitch.co and look for the video page to learn more about our new video series featuring journalists from the show. This week on the podcast, we're talking with Melinda Fakuade, an associate editor of culture and features at Vox. She has written for New York Magazine, The Outline, Rolling Stone, and Mel Magazine, among many other notable outlets. During the episode, Melinda talks about how to effectively approach her with a story, her extremely high email open rate, her sincere interest in what she covers, and more. Let's hear from Melinda now.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist from One Pitch. I'm Beck Bamberger, I'm the founder of BAM, an agency that works with all venture-backed technology companies for good. Let's emphasize, double underline, good. And I'm also the founder of One Pitch because we need to work better with our wonderful journalists and further understand why they want good pitches and not bad pitches. Hence, we are here. Today with us is Melinda Fakuade from Vox. She's the associate editor of culture and features. We're going to get into Vox. We're going to talk about her inbox of a million pitches and how people can be nice and how that stands out. We were just talking about that. Melinda, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're already having some good chats on this. I would love to actually go back to what we were just commenting on, which is just the level of being kind and smart and conversational is how a pitch can stand out. So let's just start with that, and then we'll get into your inbox. But if you're conversational, how does that help you with your pitches?
You know, when I get an email that is on the conversational side and I can see this person's personality and they don't feel like they're afraid of me or what they're saying, it makes me believe in their pitch. I want to read through the entire thing instead of skimming it or trying to be like it's a lot easier when you feel like you're reading an email from a human person and not a robot.
Oh, okay. So you're talking like formal language and it's like perfect 5 paragraphs or whatever. Describe, how do you know it's like fearful?
You know, and I think this kind of goes back to what a lot of people learn in J school, which is that they have to say, like, hello, Miss Fakuade.
Yes.
Good day. And like, it kind of me every time, just say like, hi, Melinda. Like, I wanted to Vox for this story, and then tell me the pitch. We don't need a lot of lead up. We don't need a lot of formalities. Just tell me
what is it.
And we should be covering it at Vox. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a good tip right off the bat. Okay, so for folks who do not know, perhaps, what would you say Vox entails, and what also does it not entail as a media outlet?
Well, I would say at Vox we're really big on explainers.
Yes.
We're known for explaining the big issues and the small issues that, in our world that, you might not have the answers to. And, we don't come from a place of, this article and this article is the definitive answer on the topic, but we want to help people understand why an issue or a topic might be becoming prominent or be a part of the way we live. And so I'm the associate editor of culture and features. So I work with our culture team where we cover entertainment, TV, books, movies, and things like that. And I also work with our team at The Goods, which is our consumerism article. And that's a lot about finance and the way we live. And there's a lot of things that go on there. Crypto,
it's expansive.
Purchasing, it's pretty expansive, which is why I like working in both sections.
That's
we really
fun.
try to just make sense of the world for people, make it clear and tell people things they might not know about and complex topics. So that's how I would say.
I like that overview. Yes, the explainers are fantastic. If you're like, what is going on with Ukraine? Go to Vox. You can get all the download. Okay, Melinda, your inbox. Seriously, how many pitches do you get a day?
It wildly varies. I'm an associate editor, so some days I get 0, and other days, for whatever reason, I'll get 40. So, and that's not necessarily a high amount, but an inbox builds on itself day by day, week by week.
Yes.
I tried to be an inbox zero person. I'm not anymore ever since I started working at Vox. I tried to have like maybe 10 emails in my inbox at the end of the day. And usually there's stuff that I'm currently working on, so it's kind of treated like my to-do list. Like right now, there's what's unopened is a few stories from people in-house that I need to go and edit today. So that's my to-do list. When I open them, I have pitches. How many pitches do I have right now?
How many? Let's see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right now. But I have
right now live. Okay, got it. Okay. Now, you said, okay, you'll get them down to maybe, 10 and like 10 unread. Are you basically like a let it fly and you'll just accumulate a bunch of, read pitches and you have like 27,000 in your inbox? Or are you no, master leader, you got to get them out?
No, I've got to get them out within 1 or 2 days.
Oh, okay. So you're on that line.
Yeah. So because I'm associate editor, I'm, the work we do at Vox is very collaborative. If there's a pitch that I think might work for us, I'll forward it to other editors and kind of talk about that either on Slack or via email until everyone's kind of said their piece on it. Or if I think something's a pass, I might go into the Slack and say like, hey guys, I got this pitch on, on
M&Ms. You recently did a story on M&Ms, yeah.
I did recently do it. Yeah, I did a story on the green M&M, which I get lovely emails about all the time about how fun that was. So I get readers. But I go into the Slack and I'll say, hey guys, I got a pitch on M&Ms. We already covered that. Just I'm going to pass on it. But I might say like, oh, but they have an angle that we didn't really consider. I think I'm going to pass on it. But what do you guys think? And then it gets hashed out like that. So a lot of the time it is just talking to the other editors and, taking a vote, talking back and forth, which is what makes answering, everybody so hard or getting to people within an hour or whatever, like very quick.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for input from other people. It's not just me who makes the decisions. It's a group effort. So.
So that's a good distinction too for everybody who's listening. Sometimes we're just talking with reporters and then they send it up the chain and say, hey, editor, I want to do this. This is my one story. But then as in an editor position, it's a little bit different because sometimes you can kind of parse out the stories to various people or see who wants to pick them up because you are not going to be doing all the stories just in your role. Yeah, definitely. That's good to know. Gotcha. So what is then a subject line that stands out to you, Melinda, that will get you the open? Or are you a seriously open every single email type of person?
I try to open every single email.
Wow. Okay. Wow. The extremes of this are getting good. Okay. Every single email. Okay.
Every single day, but I would say I probably have a 85 to 90% open rate, I would think.
Dang.
I try to really open everything. Now, if it's like something that I instantly know isn't for us, let's say it's a PR company pitching me about waffle fries at Chick-fil-A. I know we're not covering that. I'm instantly at that. I'm not opening. But a pitch from like a human person, someone who's trying to a writer out there, I almost always open it. Okay. And it might be hard to get back to everybody, but I try to open everything.
Okay. Wow. This is encouraging. I like it. Okay. So when you're doing a story such as the M&Ms, Melinda, or you've covered quite a variety of other things. If everyone's looking at your array of what you covered, I'm going back to one of your other stories here. You talked about Wendy Williams just recently. You're talking about Astro World. You have American beverages. I mean, this is prom. We got all types of things.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
What is the pitch that makes your stories come alive? Or are you oftentimes taking a walk, thinking about something or hearing from a friend and going, you know what, I do need to do that M&M story?
It varies with the M&M story.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
We were in the newsroom, in our virtual newsroom on Slack. Yes. And somebody dropped it in from Twitter, like, oh my God, they changed that Eminem. And then we were all just kind of like laughing and joking and riffing in the Slack as, colleagues do.
Yeah.
And I guess everyone found like my quips pretty funny because they were like, oh, you should write about this. Like, you're kind of on a roll here. So it came up. That was like a timely news piece. That Eminem story was fun and, it was great, but that was something that was dominating the news cycle like that day, week, kind of like,
so you jumped on it. Yeah.
For the rest of my stories, it's typically about something that I've been noticing. For example, like my story about dining room tables and how no one has that. It's just something I'd noticed going to friends' apartments and, now being like a 20-something, you really start realizing like, hey, like, my parents had a dining room table. No one I know does at all.
Wow, really? Wait a second. Okay, I'm looking at this piece now. The death of the dining. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not to say that they're non-existent, but to me, it's seeming to be a dwindling idea. So I kind of, I write down my ideas. When I start thinking about something like that, I write it down. I leave it in like a running list on my phone, and then if I keep returning to it, I go back to the list and see my notes. And I was kind of like, there might be something here because this just happening, and that's how it is with a lot of my stories. With the beverage aisle thing, it was definitely that way. With something like a world, that's something where I just was like, so kind of outraged by that particular news story that I really wanted to write about it. The Wendy Williams piece, that was something that I believe I was assigned that, but we were kind of just talking in Slack and talking about like kind of wild, like the way daytime TV has changed. That, so that's something that, we also realized that I don't know if I've ever read anything about Wendy Williams in depth. So that, that's kind of a gap in coverage. So
there's a gap. Right. Look at the gap.
Yeah.
Got it. It sounds like it's quite organic. The process, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think culture is like, it is of, what are you observing? What's happening? What is the zeitgeist saying? Like you just are listening to what's abounding to some sense.
For me, like that's why I have a main interest in culture and entertainment because like it's so much about like the way we live and it interacts with the things that I do. I was never really cut out for that hard news kind of journalism, politics type of thing.
Yeah.
First of all, like, that coverage is so important and like people much smarter than it's kind of just depressing. It's hard for me to write out about like sad news and bad news and stressful things. I find that the stuff that I like to cover is stuff that's fun and stuff that makes you think about the ways we live and about what entertains us and what makes us tick. That is more interesting to me personally than, writing about policy where every sentence feels so high stakes because like you're informing the American people about issues that affect their real lives, bills and money. That's just a lot harder for me personally. And that is extremely like important and respectable. I have more fun doing this.
Yes. I'm glad you know that and have discovered that. And you're sticking in like, this is my area. I wonder about that for some people where it's like, God, I will share this too. For me, when I was doing like local news stuff, I was like, oh my, I do not give a crap that at 4 a.m. on 59th Street and Palm, there was a kitchen fire. Like it just, I did not appeal to me. So totally get that. Go with what works, basically, in your journalism desires. Yeah, that's good. Do you ever then, Melinda, I like to always ask this just for people because this is a big hang up point and people like to discuss it, but do you all ever get exclusives or embargoes?
We do. Actually, I have an embargo in my inbox right now. But I have to say, I have not gotten a embargoed story yet that was like super spicy, like embargoes about things that I typically don't even care about. Like this celebrity is working with Apple on this new, like, I don't even something like something that's like, no, like something that's like even lower stakes than a new TV show or something. Like it would be like this celebrity is teaming up with Pepsi in a Apple sponsored commercial for like random pair of shoes. And I'm like, okay, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, thanks. I'll make sure to pass over that. Okay, then we don't need to get into further detail on that. Sometimes this could be a hot area. Okay, I am so happy to ask you about this next part because this is right up your area, Melinda, I'm sure. So what are you reading, watching, listening to, like for fun or for work, that you can tell us about? Because this is where I personally get all my inspiration and all my recommendations. And I pull up my Audible link right now to get ready. What do you got?
Okay. Well, right now I'm not reading any books. I'm reading a lot of magazines. I have a lot of open tabs. I also at any given time probably have, and this is like very chaotic, at minimum I have 20 tabs open every day, if not more. I'm like very serious about my tabs. I know like the computer run like way slower and is like bad for a lot of reasons, but I'm obsessed with my tabs.
Yeah, I'm a tab overloaded too. I love it.
So
I gotta have them open because I want to click. You know?
Yeah. So in my tabs for upcoming reading for the day and probably partially tomorrow is a story in the New Yorker called "Retirement the Margaritaville Way." It's about an active living community for enthusiasts.
I read that piece. Fascinating.
I'm so excited for it.
And there's quite the political slant. At first I was like, oh, why am I going to read this article about where these? No, it's a whole like interwarfare of that group of like, you know, the extreme right people. And then the people who are Democrats have their own little carve out. And it's all heated in this piece. It's something. Yes. Take a look.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
And I love also the illustration at the top is just like amazing. So I was like,
yes.
Excited for that.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. What else?
I also have this Vice article open about like this new diet that people are into where it's just like anti-seed oils. And it's like a lot of Bitcoin bros are like into it.
Oh,
yeah, I've not read that yet.
The new Soylent? Okay.
Yeah, where people are just like,
Wait. It's like anti-seed?
Yeah,
don't eat a seed?
Like canola oils and like anything that is like seed-based oil.
Okay. Okay.
I've seen like the brewings of this kind of on TikTok, so like I definitely want to read.
Yeah.
I definitely want to read further on it.
Okay.
But I'm like not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I have to look into that further.
Okay, that's good.
I have two Atlantic articles that are, you know, on the longer side. One is from early February. I did not get to read yet, called "How to Want Less," where it's like, you know, I need to be in the mind space.
Oh, yes.
Something like that. And additionally, another Atlantic article, which I've heard great things about, but I want to be in the headspace for it, which is called "It's a Culture" piece by Jennifer Senior, and it's called "It's Your Friends Who Break Your Heart." And I think there's been a lot of talk recently, especially even here at Vox, about friendship and the values of friendship and like the relationships other than romantic relationships that we rely on. And it's something I've been thinking about in my personal life as well as in my work life, in terms of things to cover. So I'm definitely really excited about that.
I got to read that piece, because when you think of friendship, like nothing binds you. There's no commitment. There's no blood. There's no obligation. And I think friendships are one of the most interesting forms of human relationships by far.
Definitely.
Ooh, I love it. Okay. These are all great. Thank you, Melinda. Okay. Now for just our last part here. What do you think the future of journalism looks like?
Well, I would hope that the future of journalism is more diverse than it currently is. I think, you know, in some ways strides are being made in that direction, but I would like bigger strides to be made.
Yes. So do you feel it's getting better? Like minutely, or like a step or a leap, or just a baby step kind of sideways?
I think minutely. I think that, you know, a lot of journalism publications have an interest in diverse candidates and journalists, and in a way that they maybe did not before. And it's hard. I think it's still going to take a while to see if that will be a continued thing, or if that's just something that they feel is trying to be at the moment, or they feel social pressure to do that. It's unclear what in some cases, it's unclear if the higher motives are actually genuine. You know, it's really hard to tell far, but I do hope that it continues, because the newsrooms need more candidates and journalists who are diverse and writing about things that don't always get written about. I think I think right now there's a lot of changes. It's a very critical and stressful time in America. And a reflection of that is what we write about and what we read and what we consume, which is why working in tourism right now, is so interesting. And the stakes in some ways feel higher than they were, 5, 8 or whatever years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that, strides for diversity continue to be made. And I think the future of journalism is really based in keeping writing honest and interesting and fun, because, people aren't reading print, for example, print magazines the way they used to be. How can we get people to be interested in certain publications when, a lot of people at the tops of these companies are really just concerned about ad money? That's like the eternal struggle in journalism is, ads versus the hardworking journalists who are at that company trying to write and make good work. So I think that's a struggle that will continue, unfortunately, but I hope that in some way it can be worked out. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I don't know the solutions. And no one has on this entire show of the 139 episodes we've done. So, Melinda, all I can say is we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a $1 billion question.
Billion, probably. And so much more, I'm sure. Well, Melinda, thank you for being on here today. This has been so lovely. I hope everyone checks out your stories, the M&Ms to the Wendy's and all these in-betweens, and know to pitch you with some kindness and some sincerity. That'll go a very long way. And this has been just great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. So, yeah.
Excellent. Melinda Fakuade from Vox. She's the Associate Editor of Culture and Features. Pitch her in her inbox. She'll probably open it.
Yes, I will.
There you go. Thanks, Melinda.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist featuring Melinda Fakuade from Vox. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show and today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch and to subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you all next week with a brand new guest and even more insights about the journalists you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.